Good morning. So, I'm a little shaken up, but fun story. So, I slept just behind those trees, and as you can see, you can't see my camp even though it's, I don't know, 20, 25 meters from here. Pretty well hidden, found a nice little spot. But it means that, like, you know, other things don't see me either. So when I woke up this morning, I got good rest. I woke up myself, no earplugs, no alarm, just, okay, I'm feeling good. And as I'm just about to get out of bed, I hear footsteps. And kind of doing watch out here in case special ops folks are sneaking through the woods to get to our camps, and, you know, just keeping some eyes on out here. But I had been relieved of duty, and our other folks are just a little ways over here, and they've got communications and walkies and all that. But trying to sleep near radios going off all the time and people coming and going is, it's not as easy for me, and it had been a few days with no sleep, so I needed to, like, really rest. That's why I got away from that. Kind of irresponsible, I'll admit that. Although I am used to going backcountry camping by myself quite often, so I'm usually pretty good with it. Last night though, because I was so exhausted, I did not set up like a bear-proof food stash away from my camp like I normally would. I decided, you know what, I'm just going to eat all of the smelly foods I have, get them in my belly so they're not in my camp, and then I'm going to take the wrappers and put them in a Ziploc bag, put that in a Ziploc bag, put that in a Ziploc bag, and then hopefully there's no smelly stuff left, although I know, you know, there's still definitely smelly stuff, but I thought, you know, I've done sort of enough, and hopefully my smelly socks and my smelly self will let things with smelly noses tell that there's a lot more of me than there is of anything to actually eat. But, you know, normally that's not a good idea. You put your food far away from where you're sleeping, you don't eat where you're sleeping, you don't cook where you're sleeping. I didn't cook, but still, nonetheless, I know I made a I'm just tired and I'm gonna go to bed now thing, and don't do that, future self, or anyone who's watching this. Always do the safety things. So, waking up and I'm hearing the footsteps, and I'm thinking, well, I'm out here to listen to footsteps because there may be people sneaking around, and I don't want those people to know that I'm knowing that they're there unless I'm got the comms and like, yo, I'd rather just walk around and, like, you know, let my people know. So I'm getting ready to get out of bed, but I think I'm going to stay sneaky just in case they don't see me. But I'm hearing the footsteps, and they're about 50 meters away or so, and they're making a beeline straight towards me. And although most of my camp is pretty invisible, I do have a blue tarp that's not like way up, but it's covering some things to keep them dry. So if anyone is that close, they can probably see that. And the forest is not a place where you walk in a straight line, so to hear the thud, thud, snap, thud, snap, they're much softer than that. Like, you just hear the slight noise of footstep. And it's going straight to me. So I'm thinking, shit, I'm probably gonna have some, like, annoying officer be like, hey, you're not allowed to be camping in the woods because they're here to ensure access to the public, which is why they're trying to stop the blockade. But they're protecting access to the public to public land, which means me camping here is fine. And although, like, it makes no sense for anyone to bug you, that is what they're doing. They're doing a lot of illegal stuff. They're trying to pressure people out of this whole area because they want to destroy it. And they will say they don't want to destroy it because they're not the ones who are going to chop down the trees, but they arrive with a gun and a taser and are using physical force and violence to prevent the people who are trying to protect this forest from being able to do that. And they have that pressure coming from a logging company saying we want to destroy it for money. So the police are the violent agent for the logging company's interests to be achieved. The direct connection is convoluted as fuck, so everyone points the finger at anyone else, but the point is, this company is trying to destroy for profit. Our government is assisting them. The way the government does that is by providing violence in the form of the RCMP arriving with guns and tasers and handcuffs and zip ties and means to restrain things. I have on film here from before they arrived with a big axe and are chopping things away. In fact, they were chopping a structure that was supporting someone that was sitting up in the air, where if the structure falls, this person's going to fall and be gravely injured, and the police are just destroying it anyway without trying to provide any sort of safety for this person. That's on film as well. So yeah, this gross. And that's why when I'm hearing what I think is one of these people coming to my camp, like, I'm kind of lackadaisical. Like, I'm just gonna talk to him. Like, it's... He would... At my camp, there is nothing but a person camping in the woods on public land. And I have a direct invitation from Elder Bill Jones to be here, so I'm not even just some random person. I've been invited to be here. I'm allowed to be here, and my camp is not in a road. So I'm thinking, you know, worst case scenario, I'm just going to get bugged and I can tell them what I just told you, and I'm allowed to camp here. So I'm not in a rush to jump out of bed to greet and deal with this person. That's where I'm at. The footsteps get closer. They still sound like a person, like, you know, 150 to, well, probably more like 200 pounds kind of a thing. It's like they got some weight to them, but they don't sound huge. I'm not thinking, this is not a moose. This is not a grizzly bear. I can hear that. And they get closer, so I'm looking out. I'm in a hammock tent with a tarp on it, and all of my gear is just in front by my feet, and then there's a tree right in front of my feet, obviously, because it's a hammock I'm tied to it. The footsteps are coming directly in the line of that tree. I can see to my right, I can see to the left. I cannot see what's making the noise. And that's consistent the entire time I'm hearing this noise just get straight up to me. So I'm still feeling like, you know, it's a human being that understands the sight lines of a hammock and is just trying to sneak up on me. Then it stops, like, just in front of the tree. There's see these creeks? They are fed from smaller little streams and smaller creeks up there, and I'm camping near one of the smaller ones. So it's this little trickle, maybe a meter wide. So there's the tree my feet are at, then this little 1 meter creek. Then on the other side of the creek, there's a bunch of old logs, and one of them is a horizontal going parallel to the creek, and it's raised about 1.5 meters in the air on the things it's balanced along. Not a big log, kind of like that one over there, or this one over there, but a little bit bigger than that, and sturdier. And on that log comes this bear walking along, so it's like literally like that far, well, even closer than that one. Slightly, like, say, like 3-4 meters closer than that, and it's just walking right parallel like this, and now I see the whole bear. And so that's my, like, instant to switch from some annoying dude's gonna come yell at me to, oh, fuck. I am, as I know, you know, but didn't click because of the disassociation with what I've been here to do versus where I actually am. I am in the wilderness, I am in nature, this is pristine. No one can hear me if I yell right now. This is not just the home of the Pachidat and Dididat peoples, this is the home of this. It's not my home, I'm a guest here. And in this home live all sorts of wonderful creatures, including this bear. And I have arrived and set up my camp in its home, and it didn't ask me to be there, it doesn't know that I'm there until just a moment ago. And yeah, so if anything is going to go on between me and this bear, I'm the one that ought to not be there. The bear's the one that ought to keep there. Normally when I am in the woods, I look for bear signs, I look for scratching, like if there's something being territorial, it'll often leave some sort of mark to say that it's being territorial and let you know. And I didn't see any of that, and especially like where my camp is set up, for example, moss grows on logs, and if you step on it, you can tear a chunk of that moss off so easily without trying to. It's just going to come right off. So if a bear, like it was walking on that log there, is moving around, you're going to see marks. And I found a spot where I was being very careful to not make marks because it was so untouched. And even just the few steps I have to take to set up my hammock, I was making obvious marks. So needless to say, I felt really secure that where I was sleeping is not the bear's den. It's not its main stomping grounds. There's no berry bushes there. It's not a well-used path. There's no deer run. I found a spot where there's so many things fallen over and in the way that no one's gonna walk through there, and it's a good spot for being out of the way, is what I found. So when the bear got there, the bear is not immediately upset with me. The bear barely notices that I'm there. It's not looking at me as it's walking, but it's right there. So I say, "Good morning, Mr. Bear." And the bear pauses. And I say, "Hello, Mr. Bear, I'm right here." And then the bear looks at me. And I say, "Hi, Mr. Bear, I'm right here." And I repeat this. I don't want to yell at the bear. I don't want to tell him to go away. I don't want to do nothing but just let the bear be aware. I am here. And then after about a second of looking at me, the bear turns its head the other way, hops off the log. Black bear, obviously. Yeah. I guess not obviously, but if you'd been listening to the size of the logs and the sounds, it couldn't have been a grizzly bear. And it hops down, and usually black bears are afraid of people and they run away, which is cool. I'm okay with that. But it's not necessarily always the case. There's a lot of different factors. I can't see enough to know, like, are there cubs around? Maybe its den is just behind the other tree. Like, I don't know. But I see it hop off and run away. It didn't get aggressive first. And I'm still saying, "Hello, Mr. Bear, I'm here." Now, it doesn't actually run away. It hopped off the log and started to run away about 2 or 3 meters. Then it moved a little bit and climbed up on something, and then it stood up on its back legs and started to... And I was like, well, shit. So for about a half of a second, I think, can I, like, fight this bear? I have a big camping knife. It's sharp. I've used it for, oh golly, like 22 years of my life I've had this knife. I'm very, very comfortable with it. It's not in my hammock, but it's like just by my feet once I hop out. And I think for that half of a second, what it might be like to try to fight this bear and what my chances are. And I think that even in the best case scenario, if I'm somehow victorious in being able to survive a fight with the bear so that I can escape afterwards, I don't like the picture of what that looks like. I imagine my body being pretty torn and tattered and needing emergency assistance to be extricated, and no one's gonna hear me yell where I am. And even the sound of the water here is quite loud. So yeah, for about a half of a second, I go through that process, and the answer is no, like, not a chance, don't. So my top priority is de-escalation, and all I can do, since I'm like, I don't even have clothes on here, I'm in bed in the hammock in a sleeping bag, I need time to get ready. So I need to hope that this bear holds ground and gives me space and doesn't decide to push me out of space. So I continue to say, "I'm sorry, Mr. Bear. I will leave your space. I didn't know that, this was your spot. I apologize. I am sorry. I will leave as soon as I can. I'm going to have to get dressed and so that I can leave. I need some time. I'm sorry. Please." And the bear steps back another couple feet, and then I can't see it anymore, but I can hear that it's gone like another 3 or 4 meters away from me, and now it's behind my line of blocking tree kind of a thing. And then I hear this scratching, this really, really loud scratching, like claws tearing not just through dirt, but tearing through wood, like tearing into stuff. And I hear scratch, 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 scratch. And then I hear thump, 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 thump. And then I hear thump, scratch, thump, scratch, thump, scratch, thump, scratch. So I can tell the bear's gone from scratching at the ground to thumping on the base of a tree to now, as it's thumping, then pulling scratches off of each thump. And it's like, this is loud, this is thing. And I'm like, fuck. And then it starts throwing big grunts. Thumb scratch, thumb scratch, and it's It's obviously trying to intimidate me, and it's working. Nothing's changed on my side, though. I have to put my clothes on before I can go. I'm doing that now. I'm in the process. I got my socks on as it's making these noises. I'm pulling my pants on, getting ready to hop out here, grabbing whatever couple essential items are in there. And I'm now thinking, okay, I gotta hop out, but it's ready. And I don't know what it's gonna do. So I think I need to find out what it's gonna do, because it's unpredictable, because I don't know it. It doesn't mean it's unpredictable. It knows what it's doing. I feel like it's afraid, and it doesn't know who or what I am. It doesn't know if it has to fight or not, but it's saying it's ready to defend its home. So I take my water bottle and I throw it out of my tent towards where the sound's coming from to see if it's going to charge, like, and if anything changes. And it doesn't. It keeps its alarm. I'm like, okay, it's alright with some movement, but I'm going to make sounds when I get out of the bed. There's going to be, like, you know, it's going to hear me moving. And so I think, well, I'm going to see what works with that. I don't want to challenge this bear now. I'm not going to start growling back. I'm not going to start yelling and hooting and hollering. I'm keeping that slow, calm, I'm sorry, I'm moving away. But I still need to know it's not going to attack whatever steps out of here making noises. So I take my phone and I put on some 1970s Japanese jazz fusion, which is loud but happy. No vocals, no yelling, but it's loud but happy. So I put that on full blast. No changes in the bear's behavior. And then I throw my phone out of the hammock by where I threw the water bottle. Creek water and instant coffee. And soaked salted hazelnuts, which were the only food I had left out there, which were then covered with my knife weighing that down with a bag on top of it. I was worried about squirrels. I left 3 fully shelled hazelnuts on a tree as an offering to the forest for a thank you for being here, letting me be here. And those were for the squirrels, because that's all I was worried about at that moment. And then I made sure that the soaked ones were covered with heavy things so that the squirrels couldn't get at them, because I was trying to protect my food from squirrels. So, anyway. So I threw my phone, and nothing happened. As in, the bear was still making the really loud scratching, thumping, growling, please leave now noises. But it did not charge at the weird fucking noise-making thing that flew over there and landed, and there was quick movement. Didn't do it. Sigh of relief. Thank you, Mr. Bear. I hop out of the hammock. I grab all of the things. I hadn't packed up my stuff properly. I'd been pulling things out to enjoy the night, so there's, like, you know, the salted hazelnuts and the knife balancing on it, and the a notebook covering that, and so I'm stuffing things into some bags. I had 4 bags. One of them is for all of the camping supplies. The others were for all of the other random supplies and, like, clothes and swimming and things like that. So I grab the 3 bags that aren't necessary to pack up the tent, all the hammock, and I leave all of my sleeping supplies there and my tarp there and all that. Just pick up the 3 bags that I need that I could have quickly, like, you know, maybe that took 5 seconds. It felt like a minute, but, like, I think that's the fastest I'd moved to ever pack up my little bits and pieces. They were not organized. Just whatever they can put in is done. Zip it. Grab the phone and the water bottle, I think. Got the phone, obviously. I'm pretty sure I put the water bottle in a bag. I haven't double-checked that yet. And then walked slowly, calmly, gently away to here, saying, "Thank you, Mr. Bear. Sorry I was here. I'm going away. I'm going away. Thank you. Sorry. I'm going away." And yeah, like as far as I know, the bear is only 50 meters that way, but I'm not in its bubble. It's not making noises. I feel calm. It feels calm. We're good. So yeah, crisis averted. Was no crisis, but I'm grateful for everything that I've learned about how to handle that situation, because I feel like it could have gone wrong real bad, real easily if I had done anything differently than what I did. I'm still naive, I'm still young, I'm still learning, I'm not an expert. So if anyone who watches this is able to give me better tips and pointers, the ones I know, don't do what I did with the food, right? I'm saying I reacted well in the morning. I did not prepare my site properly at night. My site's good for rain and all that other stuff. Like, it's set up well, it's what I wanted out of it, but the food should never have been in the site in the first place. The food should have been like maybe hanging from one of those trees. I'm not even sure if this is far enough away, but like something like that away from where the thing is. So if a bear comes to investigate, it's investigating away from where you are. And when it comes to where you are, all it smells is you, because it doesn't want you. But it shouldn't be smelling tasty things when it smells you. Shouldn't associate those. So that should have been the thing. And then besides that, I think I handled most of the stuff well. Oh, the range. I shouldn't have been far enough away that no one could hear me. Personally, I'm just used to being alone in the woods with no one being able to hear me, and just taking, like, acknowledging that risk, that, like, if something happens to me, something bad could happen to me. Am I accepting that before I put myself in that situation? But that's not something I would recommend for most people. Like, that's a personal choice. That's not a safety thing. If you're wanting to be safe, that's definitely the wrong thing. You should absolutely be within a close earshot of the other people, 100% of the time, all the time. Even if you're coming down here just to go for a swim, some of these rocks are so dry that your grip is going to make you overconfident. And then the rock next to it, like, just for example, if you look in the river here, okay, any of those rocks that stay moist on top 100% of the time have this thin little bit of algae on them that will, even if you got good hiking boots on, your foot's not staying there. And the ones next to them are looking the same and may get splashed sometimes, maybe damp sometimes, may have rain on them sometimes, but they don't stay completely wet. They don't get that, and the grip is epic. So you'll be walking thinking, oh, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then suddenly you're on your butt, unless you're expecting that. So if you think you want to just go for a stroll or a swim and you're going to be 100% safe, you're forgetting that there's always little traps in nature and tricks, and if you get a sprained ankle, it's not going to be fun getting to where help is. So yeah, I acknowledge my risks and I try to stay careful, and I walk very slowly wherever I go, and I feel the ground with my feet before I put my weight on it when I'm uncertain. But that's not something that I recommend everyone doing. So definitely travel in groups, have someone to be your backup in any situation, and don't keep your food anywhere near your sleep. And then just for things that could have gone wrong, if I had challenged that bear, see, like, normally when you're in the woods and you see a black bear, you see it from enough of a distance and you're in a position where you're not stuck and vulnerable like I was there or something, you know? And you stand your ground and you make a noise, the black bear is gonna leave, like in almost any situation, unless it's right on you with its cubs or something. But in that situation, if I had done what the pamphlets had said, which is to, you know, hold your ground and be aggressive, I believe that bear would have charged me and I would not be having a good time. And the reason is that initial "Hi, Mr. Bear," it hops off the log and goes away, that's the normal thing you'll see. But the fact that it stopped to say, no, I'm going to make noise now, I'm going to growl, I'm going to hold my ground, don't try to scare off a bear doing that, because you're going to be asking it to show you what it can do. So, yeah, I think I did the right thing. And then the other thing that I think a lot of people would have had the impulse to do is to run away from that bear once they had gotten their shoes on and be like, shit, I'm out of here. And again, that's the wrong thing to do, because when the bear is saying, hey, I'm the boss, I'm aggressive, I'm ready to go, and then you look like food, not necessarily, but it might have hyped itself up enough to think, fuck yeah, you are food, you look like food, I'm gonna eat you now because of that. That's not normally what black bears do for people, but when any animal gets hyped up, it's not behaving in what we think of as its normal behavior. It's still its normal behavior, but it's like when a bear is lackadaisically strolling through the forest, it doesn't want to fuck with you. And how you behave towards that state of a bear is very different from if the bear is in a I need to maybe fight right now mode, right? True of any animal, like yeah, even birds sometimes start attacking people they don't like if they're in a weird mood. And it's funny to see, like, why is that crow attacking that person? The crow's not gonna win the fight, but the crow's like obviously agitated by something, and it's gonna go at it anyway. Anyway, that's my story. I'm alive. I'm okay. The bear did not eat me or anything. I'm going to. Oh, another tip. I would like to go and pack up my camp now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go join my group, let them know I'm safe, and then ask if at least 1 or 2 people would like to come back with me to pack up, and I'm not going to sleep here again, because the fact that the bear had a territorial display here means this is not an okay place for people to come and sleep, and I'm going to respect and listen to that, and I will move my camp somewhere else, but I will move it somewhere else with enough people to make sure it's safe to be here. And I'm going to let everybody know that the bear would like people to not be in this place. Yeah, often a bear will just go away and say, I don't care, you can be here. This is not that situation, so I'll just inform people. Obviously the bear is fine with where we are, because it hasn't done anything like that near us. It's not bothering our camp, it's not bothering the people stationed over there. But it just gave me a different message for this particular spot, so I'm going to pass that on. And if when I come back my campsite is totally destroyed and ripped up, I'll accept that, because that's the responsibility you take with these kinds of things. It's a risk, I guess, you take. And I can replace my stuff, and I'm glad it let me have my life, because it didn't have to, right? So yeah, I'm grateful, I'm happy, and I told the bear that. I was very grateful and happy that it let me leave its space, and yeah, I'm having a good day. On that note, the Pachidat and Dididat people are doing the same thing, and they're not getting the respect that I just gave that bear. And that's not okay. Like, our government committed genocide and stole lands and stole culture and stole identities. Like, one of my friends in Victoria, I'm not going to try to say all of the names because I don't know them well enough to say them right, so forgive my vagueness, and in a future date I'll get those updated correctly. But his ancestors come from a small island off of the coast of Vancouver Island, and the destruction there was so much, and the people were so few to begin with, that for the fact that his father and grandfather to have gone through residential schools and not been able to learn their languages and traditions properly, and the fact that they were in a line of hereditary chiefs, means that the knowledge and wisdom orally passed on, not just orally, experientially passed on. Like, you have to walk with an elder to learn how to be an elder. You can't just pick up a book and read it. And to take that away from these people means that there is no hereditary chief for those people anymore, because that knowledge doesn't exist. And the leadership structures imposed by the colonial imperialistic settler culture is not the traditional culture. So when we're hearing in the public media that the elected band chiefs are okay with the destruction of the Pachidat and Dididat people's natural resources and way of life, that is a colonial control, artificial spokesperson. It's having Monsanto speak on behalf of environmental protection kind of a thing, right? It's not legitimate, it's not genuine, it's artificial, and it takes away the true sovereignty of Indigenous peoples trying to live with the dignity of being able to express themselves through their own culture. They're being told, your voice is not heard unless it comes from our translator and our way of speaking. Ours being, I'm a white man, so I'm associating myself with Western culture. Yeah, so the government is basically saying, we won't hear you unless we speak for you. And if you come here, you will see Elder Bill Jones and all of his relations standing here to say, please hear us. Please hear our ways. You say you honor and respect Indigenous cultures like Justin Trudeau. You have voiced that you respect. You do not show that you respect. You do not act in a respectful way. You act in a way of a colonizer that commits genocide, that disrespects and destroys. Right now, for the sake of profit for a few, not for all of Canadians, not for the Pachidat and Dididat peoples, but for the profit of Teal Jones and their shareholders, which again is not really for the loggers who are actually doing the work. They're getting paid a whatever wage. The big profit's made by the handful of people on top. And it is those people who are using violence to disrespect Indigenous sovereignty. This is unceded territory. Canada doesn't have claim to this land. The RCMP are acting illegally. They are out of jurisdiction. We would have the right to arrest them as thugs. You know, they're trespassing here. But if we did that, there is fear of great blood loss, life loss, and bloodshed, because when people stand up firm, the history has shown that extreme violence is used against them. I mean, literally genocide, residential schools. On the residential school note, we just had in the news thousands of murdered children. Do you know who physically took those? Okay, I'm about to run out of space. I hope that last part went there. Residential schools. Do you know who literally took the children from their families and brought them to where they were murdered? Who used the violence and force to physically, literally make that happen? That was the RCMP. Who is here using violence and force, physically harming and removing Indigenous peoples on their own sovereign territory for the sake of being able to destroy their irreplaceable resources? I'm talking thousands of years old trees. That's older than your country, that's older than all of us, that cannot be replaced. Show me a tree farm that has been established that has 1,000-year-old tree. So, can you understand how gross this is? Everyone is pointing fingers at other agencies, but when you look at the whole, this is the continued genocide and oppression and disrespect that's been going on since settlers first got here. And it needs to change. And I, as an immigrant and as a white man, as an outsider here, cannot tell the Indigenous people what the correct course of action should be or could be. I can't speak for them. I'm not able to guide them or lead them. What I'm here to do is to listen and to learn and to ask how I can support in their vision. Part of that vision that I have seen expressed is the need to assert sovereignty, and I hope that anyone watching this from whatever background will be willing to put some time, effort, and energy into assisting Indigenous peoples achieve the true sovereignty that they deserve and have been promised, but do not currently have. So if we can all help our relations here, help our family, help our friends in our community, because we are all related, whatever our skin color may be now. We're all relations, we're all human beings, we've all been through this for like 1 million years now, we're connected. We need to help each other. And if we do, we can create a really beautiful, diverse, free world. And in my personal opinion, a part of that process looks like finding an alternative system to our current economic paradigm. The World Bank, IMF, World Trade Organization are agencies that no individual in any country has any power or control over. It doesn't matter who you vote for or what your government is, you're not telling the IMF how to behave, okay? If we're going to have a healthy human way of being on this earth, every human being needs to have a say on everything that affects them, which includes everything that affects our common global environment. We cannot have a way of life where only a few individuals are guiding the future for everyone. We need bottom-up engagement, not some elite cabal thinking they know best for people. And I hope that we achieve that soon. I'm running out of time and footage here, so I'll just throw out an idea for that. A global, online, direct, mosaic democracy based on equitable ecological footprints, using a preference and priority system to make human desires commensurable. And I'm just going to do the scientific speak. I'm sorry that there's a lot of heavy words here. Please look up each of these words if you don't understand them well, and you'll find a lot of stuff to learn about here. But I'm going to make this concise, or it's going to take an hour to explain, and I've already done that. On that note, oh yeah, go to Unpolished Earthling on YouTube and look up Gaia United, a pragmatic path to a healthy future, and I have hours explaining all of this. So, in a nutshell, we take the biocapacity of the planet. We leave roughly half, but we're going to vote on everything. Absolutely everything I say here is not what it will be. It's just a suggestion, and everyone's going to get a chance to put their voice in to tweak it. So we're going to say let's leave roughly half the planet to wilderness. That's untouched. We divide up the rest of that biocapacity into equitable portions, so every human being gets the same little budget. At the moment, that's around 1 arable hectare per human being. Arable hectare being an imaginary 100 meters by 100 meters of perfect land with perfect seasons, how much life can grow there. That life in terms of calories can be converted into kilojoules, so we can talk about all sorts of things with it. We can even say the pollution from this mine has killed all of this life. What's that life lost? We can convert that into ecological footprints. So it's just a unit of measurement. So we're going to say, oh, and that unit of measurement means that you can feed a family of 10 at a subsistence level on 1 arable hectare. So 1 arable hectare is way more than enough for you to survive, but it's not enough for you to go to the moon with by yourself. Okay, that in mind. Everyone has an allowable 1 arable hectare per year of impact on the planet. and they have 100% freedom on how they want that to be allocated. Do you want food? Do you want shelter? Do you want clothing? Would you like a laptop? Well, on that note, a laptop's going to take a huge impact. So do you want your laptop to last you 10 years, so it's only a little piece of your annual budget? Or do you want a brand new laptop every year, in which case you're going to give up almost all of your budget just on your computer entertainment, right? But that's your choice. You got your budget, you work with it, and it means that no matter what you do with it, you're not going to hurt the Earth in a long-term way. We can live for 1 billion years with this style of budget, because the budget is specifically about how does our living planet replenish itself, what can it sustain, and how do we ensure that it can sustain that for human culture, whilst also having a vast amount of freedom for natural evolution to occur, because we as humans cannot truly understand the way our natural life systems move and flow, but our Earth does adapt, change, and evolve, and everything from the dung beetle to the woolly mammoth to the baobab tree plays an essential role in changing our climate and soil type and structures. Like every aspect of our world moves together to keep life alive on this planet and to keep it going. So although we as humans need some portion of that to survive ourselves, we are part of that Earth, we also need to respect the fact that the vast majority of our planet needs to be unmanaged so that the Earth can manage itself, because the Earth knows way more than we ever will, and we need to trust our Mother Earth to look after itself in that way. With the budgets that we have, though, that allows us to have individual freedom to become who and whatever we will. If you want to be a farmer, you can be a farmer, and if you want to be an artist, you can ensure that you have the capacity to sustain yourself and just be an artist all of your life. And we don't have to judge each other, because no matter what anybody is doing with their lives, they're doing it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone else around them, so why the heck not let them be free to live in their own way? It also means that we'll all have a communication system so that if you want to work with other people, it's easy to connect with them. All the like-minded people around the world can work at a distance on projects to collaborate. If you want to go to the moon, if you find 1 billion like-minded people prepared to sacrifice 1% of their energy, 1% of the billion is enough to offset the ecological damage of creating a rocket and sending it to the moon. So if we're able to do anything by enabling us to all talk to each other, enabling us to cooperate with each other, whilst ensuring that none of us are threatening each other, none of us are dependent on each other, none of us are afraid of each other. We are all sustained, healthy individuals with all of our needs taken care of, and then we choose to participate with each other to create the lives we want to see. That's the vision I have in mind. I call it Gaia United. It doesn't need that name. It needs to be a global, online, direct, mosaic democracy based on equitable ecological footprints with a preference and priority system to make human desires commensurable. Right, we're about to run out of time. That last piece is essential but complicated. Next to everything you say you want, you have to say how much you want it. We use numbers for that. I could put 10 million points to I want to live in this spot, and 1 point to everything else I care about. When the computer processes all of this data and input and makes a 3D vision of what that would look like, and it says, oh wait, everyone wants to live in that spot. Well, we can't all live on the same spot. So if I've said that I'm prepared to sacrifice everything else so that I live on that spot, and other people are like, I'd rather have some coffee than live right there, I can give up that as long as I get my coffee and strawberries, you know? So then they won't get that spot and they'll get the coffee and strawberries. And the numbers in your putting them down can be anything, but then they're all added up and turn into a percent of the whole, so that it doesn't matter what your number is. It's either 99% of your thing or 1%, and that's going to compare it to someone else's whatever percent. So when we put it all together, the computer then makes the best image with compromises made only where necessary, and shows you what it would look like if we were all co-creating our future together. That would not be static. Every day, any minute, people can update and change it. So So this vision isn't real, but this vision is a guide of where we can get to, and you can change your mind and tweak it as you will. Once everyone's fiddled with it for, like, let's say a month or so, it'll settle down into that best fit compromise. Then, as people make little changes, those changes won't be as big of a deal, and we can consistently start moving forward. And then moving forward, if you have the right to have a greenhouse on your property, yeah, but it's not going to pop up just because there's a picture of it in the computer. Work still has to be done. So giving people the right and freedom to do everything doesn't give them the things, so people will still have to work and make the things real. The thing is, they will be allowed to do all of these things. The resources will be available because they're all budgeted into what is available. So that's the thing. What else? There's a lot more. I encourage you to watch the videos at Unpolished Earthling. I'm about out of space on the camera here now. Thank you all for watching and listening. Please support the Pachidat and Dadidat peoples. Please support Ancient Forest Alliance and the Rainforest Flying Squad and everybody that is out here doing their best to help protect these irreplaceable forests from destruction. Like, if you don't agree with losing something we can never replace, please support. If you don't agree with the disrespect of Indigenous peoples, please support. If you enjoy seeing people do their best to live passionately, please support. If you like to breathe clean air, please support. If you like beautiful pictures of nature, please support. And thank you for listening.